Happy holidays, everybody, and welcome to the Tavern.
How we doing?
How's it going tonight?
Good. It's good to be back.
Who is this the guy with us, Steve? Where'd this guy come from?
Hey,
I don't know.
Giving the people what they want right here.
I don't know if that's the case.
Hey, an attempt was made.
I do like that during the intro you switched shirts.
Yeah.
It's
cold down here in the basement. I needed something heavier on.
Well, I mean, out by you and I, it's snowed the past week or so.
You saw snow? We saw rain.
Oh, we got snow yesterday. It was snowing yesterday here.
Nope. We only got rain.
What's up, Will? But you guys got snow a few weeks ago.
We get a lot of rain this weekend. It was like a tropical storm here.
Yeah, and a lot of us saw it on TV.
Yeah. If you watch the Cure Bowl, I fortunately wasn't there because that was a washout.
That at the Citrus Bowl, the Orlando Citrus Bowl, or what is it, Camping World Stadium, or whatever it's named this week.
It's still the Citrus Bowl.
Yeah.
No, that one's at Exploria, Greg.
Oh, that one's at Exploria.
Yeah, the Cure Bowl's at Exploria.
Oh, they put it at the Orlando City Stadium.
Yes,
that's got to be interesting to watch an American football game there.
I went last year. It's actually pretty cool.
I mean, because I had season tickets to Orlando City Soccer for when they started in the Citrus Bowl, and then when they went into Exploria, and you're really close to the field in Exploria.
Yes,
you had some amazing seats for Orlando City Soccer, by the way.
I did. I got lucky. I had front row behind the in the corner behind the goal. Like that was I lucked out on those. So I mean, got in on the ground floor when they went to the MLS. So fun. If you haven't if you're in the Orlando area or anywhere that's an MLS team, I do recommend a good soccer match in the U.S. if you really want the experience. In Europe too, but look, we're having like all the kids are showing up on the holiday edition. So
hold on, let me see what I can do.
Well, your wife is working, my wife is working.
Yeah, they got jobs to do. So, but with that, I think it's time to.
Well, smack.
Not that one.
Not that one.
Out of order right now. No. There we go. I don't know what happened when you set this one up. It moved all my stuff out of whack. So people wanted smack of the week first, apparently. So first round this week, we had Golfing Dad Special, the father son, the
Golfing Dad Special. Yes. So
one of the best tournaments of the year.
Yes.
And just
can we just talk about like the throwback photos that we've been seeing from all the last ones on how much some of these kids, like look at Daly's kid over the last couple of years on how these kids have just grown up.
Blows it past his dad like it's nothing.
Yeah.
Like murder.
And who did they say? What is it? Lee Trevino is the only one that has played in every single event.
Yes. He has played in every single one of these.
Yeah.
I have literally golf balls flying at me right now.
Do you?
Okay.
Yes.
Solid. Bold strategy.
Someone is taking indoor golf to the next level.
Bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
But the event this week, the PNC. Fun event at the Ritz-Carlton.
I'm going to ask a question about it. When will Father Time finally catch up with Bernhard Longer?
Never.
Ooh,
never.
No. No, that guy is.
He's the Mick Jagger. And
the guy's got like a Lazarus pit that he goes and soaks in, and if anybody needs to understand that reference, you need to watch more Batman.
That's true.
Yeah, I think that there's when you look at him and his son winning for what, the 5th or 6th time, whatever it is.
It was 5th time.
Well, a different son. His
3 of them.
His first son has 2 wins, and this son now has 3.
But they, when you look at what they did and ran away with it Saturday they looked like they were playing a different Sunday they looked like they were playing a different golf course. Like it wasn't even funny. Like it was like whoop whoop putt, like just to make everything. Now I'm going to say this: Will McGee stole the show. I mean, let's be real.
Over Charlie.
Yes, 100%. Will McGee
did he steal the show? I felt he stole the show on Sunday more than he did.
Or did JT have to weigh him down so he didn't blow away?
I mean, that was the case too.
That was pretty funny.
Here's the other problem. JT, as much as he weighs, probably needs the same amount of golf balls in his pocket because he weighs like next to nothing. I don't know that. I think my oldest weighs more than JT does. So,
but you are right. I mean, this is the nice thing about this is these kids that get to have this experience that not a lot of people get to have, and it's meaningful to them. It's not like you'll see some kids out there. Like, I mean, I did think it was kind of cocky of Charlie Woods to wave bye to his golf ball while he was out there.
I was like, oh boy.
But I think
to look forward to in the future.
I think Will probably had one of the greatest quotes out there, and it went right to his mom. But like, Mom, slow down. Let's enjoy this.
Yeah.
Like, and his mom has experienced some of those moments that's there. And like, so she's just taking like another golf event. Like he's actually, he begged her to do this. I think last year was his first year. And he just loves going out there and playing. Like I know I picked on Charlie there for a bit, but he loves going out there and playing, but he's getting older and he's getting cocky and he's going to be getting.
I'm going to say this. I kind of enjoyed Sam on the bag this week.
Yeah.
Oh, that was great. And she was good on the bag.
And I thought that was great for Tiger to have both his kids out there with him. And I think that he should do that more going forward in the future, just to have some fun.
Yeah.
The
fact that they had to move Charlie back a set of tees too.
Well, he's getting older. He should have to move back a set of tees. Mm-hmm. I mean,
he still drove a par 4.
By the way, Will McGee made a hole-in-one earlier in the week in a practice round out there.
Yeah.
I mean, talk about a week. Like, have a week, kid. Like, good for you.
Yeah.
And I think here's my take on it though. And I watched all of Sunday's coverage. If NBC could have followed Tiger to the bathroom to report on his bowel movements, they would have done that.
There was coverage that didn't include like Tiger.
No, I mean they followed.
To be honest, it wasn't all Tiger this year. Last year and the year before,
you saw way more of Tiger than you did of Bernhard.
Mm-hmm.
That is true, but I also I felt they were showing. I felt when I was watching it, like I saw Tiger, but then they'd pan over to another group, and then they pan over to another group.
After the commercial break.
But let's discuss. Can I discuss Izzy Stricker, by the way, and how she may have had the best week for her personally? Like they set up pairing her with Nelly. Yeah, it was Nelly. They set up pairing her with Nelly because Nelly's her hero and awesome. And she said, if I could pick 2 people, it would be Nelly and Tiger. And she got her week and she had her dream week. So,
and just by chance, she even said that. Just by chance and scores, she got to be with Tiger. And I mean, that was like last year when Nelly got to meet Tiger.
Yes.
That's the other fun thing about this, about people playing with people they're not normally going to play with. And I also feel like the other underlying story here is that if you're a famous golfer, you have someone in your family who's into tennis. Like Nelly Korda's dad, famous tennis player. Matt Kuchar's son, getting trained in tennis by Daniel Berger's father. Like tennis is the underlying thing in this family event. That it's either they need to have a tennis tournament where they bring these people and play tennis doubles
or pickleball or something. Yeah, let's go. Like, but no, I think that, you know, I'm gonna say this. I feel like DJ Khaled wrote "All I Do Is Win" about Bernhard Langer, because that's what I feel like happens, and it's literally Bernhard. Like, I feel like he wakes up to that, and that's his alarm clock song every morning. Like,
well, I feel it's like Davis Love at Harbor Town. I feel it's Tiger at Bay Hill or any other place he's won like 5 or 6 times.
Firestone.
Like, yeah, it's all these places that and people really love this event.
All courses Steve has played. Shameless plug.
I feel he's out there. I feel he goes out to win this tournament every year. Like, you have that one event that you play to win. Where I feel a lot of people out there, they're playing to win, but they're also playing just to be out there with their family.
Yeah.
Like, what was it? Vijay Singh's son is now 32 years old, and he started playing in this when he was 15.
Yeah, and they won it last year.
Yeah.
Well, come on. We still get to see Lee Trevino out there playing.
Yeah. That's the best part. I'm surprised. Chi-Chi lives here in town, in Central Florida, and I'm surprised Chi-Chi doesn't at least make an appearance there, because, like, I can't tell you that every year at the PGA show I run into Chi-Chi, because he just walks around the PGA. He walks around the PGA show, and he's the nicest guy on the planet.
Yeah,
and couldn't be nicer to anybody. He lives out at Champions Gate Country Club. That's where Chi-Chi lives.
I bumped into him before, and it's just he's everything you would have. It's like Chi-Chi Rodriguez meets Seve Ballesteros, and
nicest guy in the world, and couldn't be nicer. So, I think that there's the parent-child, I think, is a good thing. Now, there was a question asked on Saturday by the media to someone regarding his current endorsement contract. And the answer was, I'm still wearing their clothes. And that was, to me, very, very Tiger of, I don't want to talk about this.
Here's the thing. I think, Greg, you sent it in a text message thread earlier. Tiger's going to go with wherever Charlie goes.
Well, and Dave, we were talking about this before you came on. Grayson put up a post this week that announced that Charlie Woods is a new brand ambassador for Grayson Clothiers, and then they immediately took it down.
Yeah.
So I heard a story last week from somebody that I trust. It's kind of on the in. That was the reason that Tiger has not been wearing the Woods Edition shoes isn't because they don't give him stability, because Nike literally has a department that literally hand makes their shoes and their clothing for their pro athletes. And that was that Tiger, when he was starting his comeback, was in a meeting at Nike, and one of the Nike executives said to him, "Hey, we want to move to the Jordan line being the official golf shoe of our tour players." And Tiger was none too pleased about the fact that he's the face of golf and they want to make the Jordan shoe their golf shoe.
Well, that's been the staple lately. I feel you have Finau, Bubba, you have Keegan, you have
Phil's even wearing them.
Is Phil wearing them?
Yeah, Phil's wearing the low cuts like Finau is.
HV3 is wearing them. Like, that's been their staple for a while. Like, the Tiger shoe, the only person that I see wearing the Tiger shoe besides Tiger is the world number one.
Scotty Scheffler.
Yeah.
That's the only other person that I see wearing that shoe. And it's a good shoe, too. Don't get me wrong. But people want the style and that's out there. I have some of the Jordan shoes, and I actually really like them on the golf course. They're comfortable. I have some of their spikeless that I just wear as regular sneakers because they're actually more comfortable than the regular non-golf version. They actually have more cushioning and aren't as tight. So it's a good shoe, and that's where they're making their money.
I'm on the opposite end of the spectrum. Nike shoes have never fit me. I've never been a fan of their shoes, but it's just the joys of being the odd man out here.
I mean, that's how it is for some people. But that brand,
Greg, you let that go. Dave just called himself odd. I mean,
what do I have to add to that? Just saying.
What more is there to add to that one?
What was that? Yeah. Okay. We're all out on this show. Like,
hey, I got to make up for lost time here.
Do you really need to?
All right. Well, I will say, good event this week. We don't have anything coming up this week. It's the holidays.
Yep.
So I think it's this time
here, right? Okay.
So before we bring our guest in, Dave, I want to put this comment up here. Heidi said that they're still overpriced and overrated.
Heidi's right.
So
I had this conversation. Everything's overpriced and everything's overrated, and it's because people will still pay for it. That's the
correct.
You know it's not overpriced and overrated. Airport Road Vineyard wine.
Oh my god.
We need to make this show better. Time to bring Tyler in. So Dave's shameless plugging is enough of that. So let's welcome to the show Tyler Arnold. Tyler, welcome to the Tavern.
Love the jacket.
Yeah, thank you for joining the festivities tonight.
Yeah,
I saw you guys when I joined in here, and I'm like, damn, I got to get my jacket here. So, actually, I want to show you guys a photo real quick. A few years ago, playing the tournament with the big JD himself.
There you go, in the jacket.
Yep.
jacket.
I brought the jacket in and playing a little local tournament actually down there in Clearwater. So it was fun.
Nice.
It's actually tomorrow. I'm up here in Virginia now, so. But yeah, I'm gonna miss it this year. But yeah, 12 holes of Christmas there in Clearwater with JD, so it's fun.
Is it out at the country club or where is it?
Yeah, Clearwater Country Club. Now that
nice.
I think we all have a fun and interesting JD story, but that's for another time.
We do.
We do.
Yes, indeed.
And none of them involve sobriety. So
yeah,
exactly.
Tyler, where in Virginia are you at right now?
I'm in Virginia Beach. So it's
nice area. I went to school to college in Virginia, so I have a lot of friends over in that area.
Which one?
I graduated from Radford.
Okay. My dad was born in Radford too, so small world. You must be are you a Hokie fan as well?
No.
Okay.
No, he's from Pennsylvania.
I'm from Pennsylvania.
Okay. All right. Well, let it slide. As long as you're not Cavalier.
No.
So, Tyler, you and I met. We followed each other for a long time on Facebook. And last year, you and I had the chance to meet actually at the PGA show, at your booth at the PGA show. And we're going to get into PGA show conversation a little bit later in the show. But I feel like for our viewers and for Dave and Greg, why don't you tell us a little bit about your background in the golf business?
So pretty much any golf pro you talk to, they started out as a kid working outside, right? So that was kind of me here locally in Hampton Roads area, and I was actually out on the putting green one night doing a little practice, and the assistant pro came up and he started talking to me about doing this level 1 checkpoints. I'm like, what are you talking about? And he's like, well, you have this program called Professional Golf Management. I'm like, wait a second, back up. So you can major in golf? Like, how does this work? And so he told me about it, and you get your business degree as well as a PGA Class A certification after everything's done. And that's kind of how I ended up to be a PGA pro after I did all my internships. I went to Methodist University in Fayetteville, North Carolina, and did those 4 years there. I did an internship here locally in Virginia Beach at Bayville Golf Club, and then I went down to Port St. Lucie and went to the PGA Learning Center down there. And then the Highland Country Club in Fayetteville. And then my last one, I guess, was what turned into then an assistant pro gig was at Sandestin Golf and Beach Resort there on the Panhandle in Destin. So, and then that led me down to Clearwater, which is where I was at at Bellevue Biltmore, which was affiliated with the oldest wooden structured hotel in Florida at the time. Since torn down, but you guys might know it now. It's called the Pelican, where they had the match last year. So it's pretty cool to they've redone a few holes and stuff, and it was pretty cool to say, hey, I used to run that place, but it wasn't really that place. It was the public version of it. I can't even step foot on there now and say, hey, I used to work here, so they won't even won't even let you do that. So I try. Trust me.
Most places that Dave's worked to, they won't
I was waiting for you to say that comment. Man, we can predict Steve's jokes at this point.
I think they don't even let their employees go. I think it's only Mondays after 3:00, so it's pretty intense.
Wow.
But yeah, then I moved down to Cape Coral, and I was a GM of the 27-hole club down there. And then that's kind of when I stumbled on the whole tech world after that. So
okay. So you did a lot of club pro life. So what made you leave that club life to being a pro to do Eagle Club Systems?
Yeah, so one night after, when I was a GM in Cape Coral there, I was kind of scrolling LinkedIn and just kind of came across an ad for a competitor of ours called T-Snap. And I'm like, dang, this looks pretty sweet. High tech, it was on an iPad, that whole sleek kind of system. And I'm like, I like this. So I messaged the CEO and I said, hey, do you happen to have any open spots? Because I was curious. He was like, well, matter of fact, we do. So I messaged, he put me in touch with a hiring manager. His name was Nathan Morse. And we kind of hit it off right away, kind of what you guys do. We talk about sports and our passionate love of hockey. He's a Pittsburgh Penguin fan. I'm a Washington Capitals fan. So, we kind of collide there. So that was fun. But hey, there you go. Yeah. I think
Devils fan has to show up
last week or something, but not very many wins this year. But yeah, so as soon as you start talking about something other than the job and what it pertains, you kind of have it on lock there. So, but yeah, I got the job. I was an implementation support specialist for about 3 years, so which was really cool. I got to travel around the country. I got to see different golf courses. I got to see different people, golf pros, golf course owners, things like that. So my job was to train you, how to use the system and stuff, get hands on. And then what's cool, when I wasn't traveling, I was at home, could stay in my pajamas, which was awesome, work from home and just answer the phone, chat messages, people asking, hey, how do I do this or whatever on the system. And then COVID hit, and then they did a massive round of layoffs. And unfortunately, I was one of them. So we kind of took a step back. My wife and I were like, hey, what are you going to do? And are you going to stay in the golf industry? I actually applied to be a deputy sheriff for Pinellas County. I got all the way through the oral board, and their ad on the front was like deputy sheriff, no experience required. And then come to find out, they're like, oh, you don't have enough experience. And I'm like, okay, that's kind of a weird excuse. Got to be something else going on. I'm like, well, it's not right for me, so something else is out there for me. And that's kind of what happened here. I started talking to my father-in-law, who has been a medical software engineer for almost 40 years. I mean, he programmed on punch cards way back when. Worked for IBM out there in California, the whole 9 yards. So he's had 2 medical companies. One, he kind of still, runs in the background, day-to-day kind of activity, if that. But then he's like, hey, what if I build golf software? And I was like, you got to be kidding me. You know how many companies are out there and how long they've been doing it, how big they are. I mean, you got some that have been out there for 40, some years. It's wild. And so I laughed, and he's like, well, let me put together a tee sheet. And worst case, I'm out my time, no money involved. I'm like, all right, whatever. So in the meantime, I'm starting to look for other guys. I worked outside. I worked the counter at the local club just to kind of get by and stuff. And he put together a thing in the background. And then, it was ugly at first, but now, it's sleek. It's good looking. It's flexible. So we've now grown over 300% in the past year alone. Which is awesome, just by strictly word of mouth, some email marketing, things like that. So, it's funny that one night on the putting green turns into where I am now, just to kind of come full circle. And I always think to myself, what if I never had that conversation? Where would I be? And who knows, you're never going to know that. Obviously, it's just,
yeah.
Is Mark your dad, by the way?
Mark is my father. Yes. But my father-in-law.
He's commenting. So.
Oh, I see him.
Yeah. We the 3 of us all know about that one night that leads to different things. I think
that's how we ended up here.
That's how we ended up here. It was just Greg is my best friend, and I had met Steve, and I introduced Steve to Greg, and long story short, and here we all are. So
yeah, it's just funny how that stuff, winds up.
But so, you have this program that's out there, but we all kind of know that the golf management business kind of dominated by Golf Now, right now. What sets you apart from them?
Golf Now, you had to bring it up, huh? No.
I didn't write the questions. Look at the guy above.
Dave asked the tough questions here on.
No, it's fine. It's fine. No, I like the question. I get asked that, all the time. It's kind of what separates us from pretty much anybody, right? The number one thing, I guess, to Golf Now is what they do. And a lot of people, not a lot of average golfers know how this works, but they have a lot of hot deals, right? Now, everybody knows what the hot deal is. And the cheap round, $20 when it's supposed to be 75, stuff like that. Well, that money that you pay for that hot deal goes to Golf Now. That's how, the the Golf Now gets their money for the software, for all their marketing they do, et cetera, et cetera. Well, most of the time they're taking 2 tee times a day from the golf course, which, on the low end, let's say it's $25, you're looking at, over 70, 80 grand a year that you're paying for software where you could just write a check to somebody and get it done at, a fraction of the cost, right? So that kind of puts us separate from them. Is we don't take anybody's inventory is what we call it, your tee times. Everything booked online goes straight to the club. Nothing comes to us as far as online tee times, anything like that. Now, a lot of people are like, well, if I do that, if I go with you, then I lose the marketing aspect of Golf Now. Well, sure, you're not listed on golfnow.com. You're still going to be, if you have a great marketing team behind you, you can still advertise to your local area, Google, Google AdWords, Facebook, whatever you need to do, and get your name out there to drive people to your website, to your booking engine, and not to Golf Now. They don't collect your data or anything like that. We don't collect your data. Golf Now does, and they send it out to the masses and say, hey, not only do we have your club, but we have all these 10 in the area that you can play as well. So that doesn't drive them right to you. So that's kind of where we come into play as well with our our Eagle Club marketing is what we call it, our add-on. And that kind of drives revenue to your golf course. For instance, we have one representative that's dedicated to 10 courses. That's our ratio. So 1 to 10. And what we'll do is say, hey, look, you have this person that you can contact to make flyers, to make email blasts, social media, whatever. They'll do it all for you. In exchange, we ask for $5,000 a year. So that $5,000 gets you pretty much a marketing director. I mean, how can you pay somebody $5,000 a year to be a marketing director, right? It's not going to come that cheap for you. So, I mean, granted, we're not live and in person. We might send somebody there initially, kind of do the initial meeting and things like that. So that's something that will separate us from the rest as far as that marketing package goes, that we can offer them in that personal experience, that 1 to 10. I mean, we had a club last year that was on T-Snap that has the marketing program as well. And this year they came to us and did that, and we increased their sales from Black Friday and Cyber Monday 300% in 1 year, which is huge because it just shows how dedicated our representatives are to their customers, so to our customers.
So you talk about the marketing aspect, and on your website you've got some different levels and some different things. What are some of the cool features and add-ons besides the marketing aspect that somebody can get besides just being a tee sheet?
Yeah, so we have a lot of golf courses, obviously, that have teaching professionals. And a lot of the times they ask us, well, hey, can I use this tee sheet as a lesson book, if you will? And our answer is yes. And a lot of people say yes, but it's just like a tee time. It doesn't change anything. It's the same exact as it is for the golf course. Now, ours, you can get on there and you book a tee time. You see the blocks, you see 9, 18-hole rates, stuff like that. But ours for the lesson is totally different. For tennis courts, pickleball, which, as you guys probably know, fastest growing sports in sport in the United States. And you can have a range of time. So I can say, hey, I want to book at 10 a.m. I want to play for 2 hours. Versus I have to book a 10, a 10:30, 11, to do that 2-hour block like a lot of other systems have to do. So we have it where you log into the booking engine. You say, do I want to play golf, or do I want to do indoor simulator? Do I want to do a lesson? Do I want to do pickleball? Whatever. And so that way you can do that time range and book a tee time at the same time on the other side of things. So that's huge for us. In addition to texting, I mean, we have an integrated text message feature where, like, if you have everybody's name on the tee sheet, you come in one day, it downpoured the night before, or it's frost delay or whatever, boom, send a message to everybody on my tee sheet to their cell phone. Hey, frost delay 30 minutes behind. That way it eliminates all those, phone calls in the morning of, hey, is it frost? Is it cart path only? Blah, blah, blah. And then that response comes right to our system, right to that employee who's looking at the program, and can respond, chat, just like, an iPhone, boom, 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 chat right back and forth, right on the system. So, I mean, it's pretty slick that we can do a lot of those things that a lot of companies can't, or they can do, but in a different capacity where they have to go somewhere else in the system to see responses and text, things like that, and then have to go back to the tee sheet. Ours is just all right there in front of you.
Nice.
So you talked about before, like a marketing campaign and having a cost of like $5,000. What is some of the other associated costs? So if a club wanted to move over to your system from their current system, what's your pricing look like for that?
Yeah, so what's really cool is we can kind of package it together. So we can start off at like $99 a month, and that gives you just a tee sheet and online booking, right? So like if you're a mom and pop 9-hole golf course, and like, dang, I can't afford this stuff. I can't afford all these big guys at $7,000 a year or $10,000 a year, whatever these other people are charging. I just need something to be digital, get up to the ages, $99 a month. So you're like $1,200 for the year, right? And then you add on the point of sale, and then you're up to, right around $3,000 or so for the whole year. And then you can add on the email, you can add on the texting, you can add on the, like I said, the marketing. So all that stuff is kind of, we put it together for you and just kind of base it on what exactly you need. We don't say, hey, look, here's the price, take it or leave it. We just package it towards, what you need.
Okay. So you customize it for the course that's there. So it helps them with like costs, and especially like you said, for a small muni course that just needs a little bit, you can adjust for what their needs are.
Exactly. Yep. We take them big or small. We literally have a 9-hole municipality in the middle of Iowa. We also have a private club of 300 members in Iowa. So
wait, where I'm in Iowa.
I was going to say Dave's in Iowa, so I was waiting for him to ask where that's at.
Do you know off the top of your head where in Iowa?
Colfax Country Club.
That's out west. Yeah. That's out west. So that's how I'm down in southeast Iowa.
Gotcha.
So their whole system could be like, it does their whole tee sheet, their point of sale. Does it work with if they have the Rangers or anything like that?
Say that again, with the tee sheet and the Rangers.
So is there like an iPad or anything like that for the Rangers and stuff like that, like this application?
Yeah, so we call it device agnostic. So you can use any device you want as long as it has an internet browser. A phone, an iPad, a Mac, a PC, whatever. But yeah, to get to your point, yeah, we definitely recommend an iPad, especially for not only the Rangers can sit out there and see what time they teed off and say, hey, you're behind, but also for the beverage cart, the drink cart go around and they can ring up drinks right there on the iPad and take your payment right there and everything. So you can be completely mobile with the whole application as well if you don't want to be locked down to a computer with wires and everything.
Hey, Tyler, let me ask on that from a beverage cart standpoint. Can you also do like at private clubs put it on people's account, or is it just POS only?
Yep, they can charge to accounts. You can pay it later. You can set up automatic payments to, hey, put my credit card on file. I want to pay it off on the, just like your Visa bill. Set it and forget it. Just say, hey, look, here's my card. Pay it off every 15th of the month. I don't care what's on it. Just do it. So
hit the button. I need the cart girl.
Exactly. You can even send a text to this golf course. Say, hey, I'm on number 9. Haven't seen the cart girl. They'll come right to them, and then they can blast out, a message to the cart girl. Some people even elect to have a phone number specifically for the cart girl. Now it's not her, phone number like a lot of guys want, right? But it goes to her when she's logged into the system and she can see those messages. So.
I'm glad you caught what you said there, because I was waiting for a lot of viewers to be like, wait, I can call a cart girl? Like, I misunderstand that one.
My dream come true.
Real quick.
My day just got better.
Wow.
So sign me up now, Tyler.
Yeah. So obviously your background as a PGA member and former club professional, you know what it takes to run a club and what's needed to make a golf shop run smooth. When you're running club, what was one of your biggest pet peeves that you knew you just had to go in and fix?
That's got to be customer service. Now, I know it sounds cliche, but if you don't have customers, you don't have a business. That's simply put. You can, make a lot of people upset, and to where they go, there's a lot of golf courses in the country. Unfortunately, a lot have closed down, but there's still a lot out there to where they can elect to go to the one down the street. Now, if you make them upset, and there's a video out there called Give Them the Pickle, right? Somebody wanted to charge, 25 cents or whatever, a nickel or whatever it was for the pickle. And the owner's like, just give them the pickle, just to make them happy, and that's kind of my concept, is to just give them what they want. We can worry about the price and whatever we need to later. We'll make it up somehow, some way. But for now, just make them happy, get them to come back. That return revenue, that's kind of our philosophy. Is if, guys, anybody checks out our Google page and all of our reviews, they're 5 stars. Pretty much all of them are all about our support and our customer service that we provide to them. Because I mean, I've used, unfortunately, I've used Golf Now, I've used T-Snap, obviously. I've been the support guy in T-Snap. So, I've called Golf Now before and any other, companies, and hey, leave a voicemail. We'll get to you in 24 to 48 hours. I give everybody my cell phone number. Now, who can you sit here and say what business, what software company can say, hey, you have the CEO's cell phone number. You can text him at 9:00 p.m. on a Saturday night and he'll respond. I mean, I don't know of any other company that's going to do that. So that's kind of our dedication to them, to our golf course, to our partners, and say, look, we have your back. If we don't have you, we have nothing. We don't exist.
It's funny you talk about customers. It's funny you talk about customer service like that. All three of us
that's our bread
have
and butter.
have seen that video, and all three of us at one point worked for Disney here in Orlando. So we've definitely seen that at work.
And
so.
I've used that video for many trainings. And things like that.
Yep, same here.
It's a great.
It was part of my orientation process for when I hire new staff. So.
Yeah, it's a great it's a great video. It's a great training tool out there. But customer service is key for most of those things. And I like you said, like Golf Now, I've called them before too. And sometimes you get them, and sometimes I feel it's just like, hey, we'll get back to you. They'll resolve your issue, but it doesn't have that personal touch.
Yeah, you're just a number to them.
Yeah, my $24 rate, does not equate a call back over somebody paying $900 at TPC Sawgrass.
Right.
Let's not.
And that's unfortunate. It shouldn't be that way.
Let's not talk about that. So the installation process when somebody signs up with you guys, is it like Starlink? Like we had Starlink at my house for a while, and they literally send you a box and you open it up, and on the top is this sheet that has 3 pictures of how to set up your Starlink, and that's all it is, and that's how they send it to you. And there's no support or anything like that. So are you guys more hands-on, or do you take the Starlink approach of just sending out your stuff with a sheet with 1 sheet of 3 pictures on it to set it up?
Yeah, that sounds pretty easy. I don't know how that works with support, but yeah. The
3 pictures did go to Steve in a box, and he probably had to ask his kids to figure it out for him.
Kind of like an IKEA furniture. Here's a
Why are there so many extra pieces?
Yeah,
there was no Allen. There was no hex wrench in this one though.
Got this screw. What do I do with it? So we try to have as much of a hands-on approach as possible. Now there are some times where somebody doesn't want us to come on site, or we do charge for the hands-on, for the on-site visit is what we call, but we don't make money on it. So what I mean by that is if it costs me $500 for flight, hotel, and a rental car, then we charge you $500. I'm not going to make money on that sort of thing. But we want to be able to be there as much as we can. Ideally, the same day they want to go live, as we call it, with the system. So the day one you use it, that way we're kind of in the trenches with them, clicking all the buttons, showing them what to do, versus 2 months go by after your training. You're like, oh, Tyler told me how to do this, and I totally forget. So we always like to try to be there for them as much as possible. But there are some instances where there's what we call the remote, installation. To where we do everything remotely. They do a video, share, a screen share with us, and we can remote into their computer and kind of click the buttons for them and show things like that. So it just depends, but I would say 80% of the time it's a hands-on, on-site visit.
Nice. I bet that wins over a lot of customers compared to like a Golf Now, going.
Oh, it does. There. I mean, like I said, when I was with T-Snap, we did a lot of on-site, and then a few months, right when COVID hit, right before they let us go, about 2 months before this happened, they were like, okay, we're going to be all remote, primarily because they use COVID as an excuse, but they wanted to save some money on the implementation and stuff too. So, it was definitely, an issue as far as we wanted to be on site, and we lost that kind of, customer service.
Yeah. So next month, PGA Merchandise Show. It's going to be your 2nd year there. We're going to be there as well. So your first year there, as a new exhibitor, what was the reception like from PGA members, and you're offering their products and ways for them to save money? What was that first year like for you?
Yeah, I mean, it was great as far as that goes. A lot of people, since we have a big social media presence, we try to push out a lot of videos, a lot of how-tos, different stuff on our system. And so what was really cool was like, hey, we might not get 500 likes on that social media post that we put out there, but we get a whole bunch of people to come to us that I had no idea that saw it. They're like, hey, I saw you on LinkedIn. I saw you on Facebook and your video and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, really? I don't even know who you are, first of all, which is awesome because I know our name's getting out there. But I mean, the reception of other people, even the competitors were like, hey, welcome, glad to have you guys here. Just somebody else in the space to kind of, I have a lot of friends that work for all these other companies, which is great to kind of be there and kind of have a, party, if you will, for those 3 days, especially on Friday when it's a little bit slower and it's just kind of the vendors and that sort of thing. But yeah, we're excited to be there. I mean, 2 years running, and we're hope to be here in 25 years. So I'm looking forward to it.
Friday's the fun day. Friday's I feel everyone that's left. That's the fun thing about this industry is you just get to know so many people and you get to make friends, and you're all in this thing about playing a game together.
Yeah.
So
I've always said that Friday, they should make Friday jeans and t-shirt day, and
100%.
Or Hawaiian shirt day. Like let's just go there.
Hey, my hot take is Friday they should open to the public and charge the public to come and see this stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey,
as the Tavern, can we just set a trend and do what we want on Friday?
I mean, I'd already planned on wearing jeans and a t-shirt, so just FYI, you'll see me in jeans and a t-shirt on Friday.
There seems to be a dress code,
and maybe some Chucks. I might rock the Chucks on Friday too. So,
I was thinking too. I'm like, why don't we, if they don't open up to the public and get more people on Friday, just do it Wednesday, Thursday. There's no point to have all that overhead on that whole day when there's not anybody coming through.
And by the time it's worth it. And by the time lunchtime hits on Friday, after lunch, there's nobody around.
Oh yeah, they say you can't take your booth down till 1, but I see people 11:30 or they're gone.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you'll see people that are gone way earlier than that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Some people don't even show up.
Right.
Yeah, that is true. I have seen that before. Realized there's no one at this booth.
There's no one there. So you already have a tab. Speaking of the show, you already have a tab on your website to book demos at the show. Will people just be able to walk up and get a demo while they're there, or do they have to book with you beforehand?
Yeah, we definitely prefer if you book beforehand, just because of how busy it's going to be. And our demos are 15 to 30 minutes long. Just depends on how involved we get. It's going to be a very high level overview of the system. But if you do walk up, and we're going to have 3 staff members there this year, actually 4. So more than we had last year at this point, to answer any questions, show you anything in the system. But yeah, definitely book a demo if you can ahead of time. I know a lot of people's schedules, changes and flexible, that sort of thing. But if you want to walk up and say hey and take a look, we'll try to help you out as well.
Nice. So being that this is your second year, how successful was year 1, and why is the show a difference maker for somebody like you?
Yeah, good question. So we definitely, our goal setting out last year was to break even. And we did that. We actually made just a little bit on top of that, which was awesome. This year, PGA show Reed Expeditions was kind enough to offer us a returning exhibitor discount, which was awesome. So we're hoping to hopefully double our money this year with our amount of exposure we got last year, plus what we're going to get this year, and another year of branding and pushing our name out there. So but yeah, the difference maker is just being present, just people knowing about you and being there. A lot of people didn't even know we existed. So they're the usuals of Golf Now and 4Up and T-Snap, and so they're like, they know those people exist. And Jonas is a big private club guy, software company, so they know they're out there. But then they stumble upon us and they're like, well, who are you? Why are you here? What business do you have being here? And I kind of go through this whole spiel I did at the beginning, who I am, where I came from, how it started, and a lot of people like that close, tight knit kind of family situation. They're not talking to just a staff member on the company. They're talking to the guy who started it, the guy who owns it, the guy who is cherishes every bit of their system, their baby. I'm going to take it and run with it, and provide you that customer support I was mentioning earlier. So yeah, it's definitely an honor to try to be there the second year, and we look forward to being there in many years to come.
Nice.
That's awesome. Nice. So if someone's looking to sign up or for your services or to book a demo at the PGA show, where can they find you?
Website, eagleclubsystems.com. You can top right there is going to be a demo. You can either book one, if you're not going to be at the show, we have a link for that. And also we have our dedicated show link to where we have those 3 days blocked off with some times there. You can book one and do it there as well.
Nice.
Well, Tyler, it's good chatting with you tonight. Thank you for joining us. We really appreciate you coming on. We will definitely stop by and see you at the PGA show and say hello. Hopefully, are you going to have your blazer on at the show or another one?
I was going to ask the same question.
I have we had Loudmouth out there last year, a few different jackets with the United States, had the American flag on last year. So we'll see. We might look a little more professional this year. We'll see what we got up our sleeve.
Nice.
But
well,
yeah, booth number
35. There's nothing professional about the Tavern.
Yeah. You said 35 24 if somebody's looking
35 24. Yep.
Nice. Is that about the same spot you were in last year or
roughly? Last year we were over by the inventors stage, and that got really loud with all those people doing their pitches, like a little modified Shark Tank thing. So but we kind of moved just a little bit inward.
Nice. Awesome. Well,
but yeah, I look forward to seeing you guys there.
Yes, and definitely have a safe travels. Have a great holidays. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and we will see you. We'll see you in a month or so.
Thanks for having me. Have a good night.
Thanks.
Cheers.
Cheers.
See
So that's awesome. We talk about growing the game, and that's a great way to grow the game from a standpoint of, hey, a mom and pop can get a new system that's in there, and it's a one-stop shop to be like, hey, this is a cheat sheet that gets me online, that gets people exposed to my golf course, and he can make it as simple or as complex as you need it for the more things that you have.
Yes,
and that's just I living in Iowa and seeing what's out here. Golf now exists for I think one course here in my area, and that's it. Everything else is I'm calling the course just showing up.
Yeah, that's what a lot of courses. I mean,
shut up, Steve.
Well, to be honest, that's what a lot of courses.
I was going to ask if anybody from Golf Now knew where that area was.
That's true. Golf Now provides a great service, but to be honest, a lot of courses will tell you, oh, just call us, and Tyler hit the nail on the head that sometimes Golf Now takes away from their profits because they need to make money too as a company. But Tyler does it in a different way of providing the service and customer service. And we've all made our bread and butter on customer service. And that's something that a lot of people miss with some of these things. And I'm glad that he's out there doing this and helping grow the game on almost that grassroots level of helping those mom and pops. But hopefully the big guys are looking at him too.
I was waiting for Dave to say that he makes his bread and butter at Airport Road Vineyard and Winery.
What he should have said is, hey, to go with your bread and butter is a great bottle of wine. And you can get that wine at Airport Road. We need some old Pepperidge Farms type commercial that I can play for Airport Road on here.
Right.
Airport Road wine, remembers? Or an old Bartles and James commercial of two crotchety old men, and I'm looking at the two of you sitting on a porch drinking Airport Road.
I mean, dinner. Brad, I couldn't let that one slide, could I? I mean, I had to say something there, didn't I?
Come on, drink, because then he's going to promote the wine more. It's a catch-22.
Come on, Brad. I even shameless plug the other day too.
I mean, right?
It's just
well, smack my mama.
All right,
and he's gone.
And he's gone. Where you know what he's doing?
That's a magic trick.
I had to turn off the TV in the background.
Nice. Well, so here's the smack of the week, and we've all been there and wanted to do this in the house. There's a right way and a wrong way. That's all I'm going to say.
Why he's using a real golf ball and claiming it's not hitting the wall.
It's not hitting the wall.
It is hitting the wall.
No, it's not. It's hitting the net. Ready? Check swing.
And boom goes the dynamite.
Boom goes the dynamite.
So here's my question.
At least it's only a wall. At least it wasn't a TV.
But what kind of
that would have made him a Cowboys fan?
Yeah, that's true. What kind of stinger shot are you hitting? Like
for that
low of a no shot should be that low. Like you should either be hitting the top of that thing or over that. little kid's soccer net that he was using there.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, we've all done it. I hit golf balls in my basement, and they hit the wall at times, but I'm not hitting, like, hard shots. I'm not taking – and first of all, he's not even taking a full swing. Like,
Dave Rogers School of Golf.
What, don't play for a while, then win a club online and get a new bag, like, every month because
no, I have not gotten a new bag yet.
No, we're holding on a new bag. I might let him borrow one when he's here in January, so – there may be a borrowed bag for Dave that week. So
So speaking of shameless plugs, anybody for the PGA show out there, I need a bag. I'll carry it, promote you, whatever you need.
Well, I'll do that. I mean, that's
yeah, but my bag is at least broke. Again,
that's true. I don't need. I mean, but all for promoting stuff. That's what we do on this.
So it's been an interesting week in golf. Obviously, there's the fallout from
month, year. Yeah, to be honest, it just hasn't.
And it's more of the business side of golf that's made it interesting. I hate to say that this is driving people away from the game, but I feel like the casual golfer that didn't watch a lot of golf to begin with, they probably only watched when Tiger Woods played. Are they going to continue to watch after all of this bickering and all of this, pardon my French, but bullshit?
Well, I think
that's what it is.
As long if Tiger's playing on Sunday, then yes. If Tiger's not playing, then no.
Well, no, I think what it's turning into two different things now. Golf, like the PGA used to drive people to play more golf. It used to get people into the game. I feel the game itself doesn't need any promotion. I feel people are getting into it, liking it. They're seeing the game. And we're still watching the PGA Tour. We still watch the stuff. We just talked about the PNC earlier, and it's still fun to watch. There's still stuff out there. But this bickering and this thing that's come out of Liv trying to, and I'm blaming Greg Norman. I'm not blaming Liv because I think that's two separate things. I think Greg Norman's vendetta against the PGA Tour and against Arnold Palmer, to be honest with you, because that's the person who was stopping him for years and years and years. He wanted to change things and do things differently, and it was, and that's not a bad way to do things. But instead of saying, "Hey, I'm going to do things differently and see if you like it," he was like, "I'm going to do things differently, and I'm going to show you. I'm going to say what I don't like about you," and that's the problem. And then you have the PGA Tour who is trying to react to this crazy stuff, but they're not including their bread and butter, I'm going to use that again, of their players and the players that are out there. They're almost alienating them a little bit at times is what it seems. And they're not communicating, and that's making it hard. So, like, it's becoming this drama, but we're talking about it. So, I mean, bad press is still press. But I do think it's going to drive those fans that are just getting into the game. They're like, well, I don't want to watch it now because, I mean, I don't want to watch either of them because it's not about the game. It's a pissing contest at this point. Let's be honest.
Well, so here's the problem. Like, you have the Strategic Sports Group, and it was announced, on Friday last week? Mark Schlabach's article came out Thursday or Friday of last week, where Schlabach came out on ESPN, and I will give him credit because he had some really good info about what's going on behind the scenes. And I'm trying to find the article right now to quote it. But, like, they don't I think the tour's in trouble because they're not going to be able to compete with Yasser in the PIF, and they're going to get John Rahm to death because I mean
they don't have the money.
I'm not going for any amount of money, and all of a sudden there's a dollar amount that's in front of John Rahm, and he's like, "Yeah, deuces, bitches." Like, I don't think that there is a.
Here's the thing: as steadfast as Rahm was, there's a number out there for Rory. There has to be.
I don't think they want Rory. I think they're all sick of Rory. Personally,
I think there is too. But imagine just in a hypothetical situation. You know, there was a number for Rahm after he said no for so long. Imagine what the blowback would be if Rory just said, "Yep, I'm going to take that number and I'm going to go."
Here's the other problem, though. If you're these players, and Greg, I think we talked about this last week. If you're the players on the PGA Tour, right, and you're sitting here and you're saying, "Hey, listen, I stayed loyal to these guys, and then on June 6th, they didn't stay loyal to me, and they went ahead and got in bed with the people that were saying." Say no to. It's like the old say no to drugs campaign. Like, this is your brain on drugs. Would they crack the egg in the frying pan when we were kids?
Well, and that's the thing, is that Liv just has to really sit back at this point and be like, hey, we're going to do this structure. We're going to do this thing. Like, to be honest, this is what I think Liv should have done from the beginning, is not bicker and fight with them. But the PGA Tour is crumbling on itself by not making decisions, including
they're
the
not
players
getting out in front. They're not getting out in front.
That's what they need to get out in front and say, hey, this is what we're doing. This is what's going to be here. This is how we're going to sustain this for years. Because I don't think players would leave, because I don't think the money is the biggest factor here. But when you don't see the stability on your end, like you don't see the loyalty, you don't see these things, you're like, why shouldn't I just go and take the money? Like,
yeah,
at that point,
and
that's where the money becomes what you're looking for, because you're like, I might as well take the money versus over here, I'm not getting the money and I'm not seeing the stability.
And I think part of the problem with the money is, and it's not a fault of Tiger, it's just a fault of promotion and everything else. The game got too big during the Tiger era with I
actually think the game got bigger during COVID.
So I think that's the other thing. The game got bigger for the public during COVID. I think, to Dave's point, the game, when Tiger blew up the game to what it is today, like the money in the game got bigger. The money in the game,
and it just, as inflation and everything else, and okay, we got to be better than next year. There's a certain point where companies just go, no. No, there's no ROI. There's no benefit for me shelling out $30 million, for this event. And the PGA, there's got to come back. We just saw a baseball contract happen for $700 million. There's got to be a point where reality kicks in for people, that you have to come back down to reality. And unfortunately for the Liv and the PIF, reality is way, way over here. And the PGA's got to play on this reality here. And the players have to understand what that reality is going to be for tournaments. And it may be that they got to show up in Maine and Boston, to make a paycheck rather than playing at these guaranteed events.
I think the funny part of what the LPGA Tour used to do this, and I tried to find to see if they still did this. It was in their agreement on the LPGA Tour that the players had to show up for every event once every 3 years. So when you think about outside of their Tournament of Champions, all of their other tournaments, you are going to get your star player, whether it's Lexi or Nelly or Jessica or Lydia Ko or any of these superstars that are out there now, have to show up every 3 years. Brooke Henderson, you're going to be at that event once every 3 years. So you can see, even in your smaller market events, you're going to see the best players in the world.
You've hit a trigger for me on this with professional athletes nowadays, and I'm gonna be back in the glory days. Cal Ripken Jr. has the streak for the most consecutive baseball games ever played.
Right.
Okay. And the reason he did that was because he said there could be a kid that's coming to a game only. This is his only time he's coming to a game, and he's coming to see me, and I don't want him to miss that. And that's why he did it. And he did it for the love of the game. That's why he has that streak. And he didn't want to get injured, and that could have ended that streak. But if he could play, he was out there to play. And I don't see that now today, because it's not about that anymore. And you shouldn't have to. And that's what Liv is doing. And Liv is not saying like
load management.
Yeah, well, don't get me started on that.
Yeah, don't get started on that.
I'm gonna.
It's the dumbest
I'm gonna
idea
say, like,
ever.
well, Jordan played 82 games a year. Like,
yeah,
they played because they had a passion for it and they wanted to win. They wanted to play the game. Like, I'd love to play golf every single day. I get that even if I was a professional, I'd want time off in doing this thing. But when you're forcing me to play every day, it becomes more of a job, and it's not about the game. It's not about that.
I'm okay with saying, when you look at some of these other events, like look at and let's take the Florida Swing for example. Let's look at what was the Honda that is now the whatever it is, the Palm Beach Classic or whatever they're calling it at PGA. You've got Innisbrook. You go over to Texas, you have the Texas Open, you have Valero, you have the event in Houston, you have the Houston Open, you have 2 events in Dallas, Fort Worth area. So if you told me that every 3 years Tiger was going to do that, and one of the reasons they did that was to keep sponsorships, because again, your big names draw money when they show up for these events.
But I think they did that with the signature events and making people want to play in the signature events. I thought that was a good idea to have a set of events that you have to play in every year, because everyone's going to play. Everyone's going to play.
I think the mistake that they've made with these is they need to rotate the signature events
100%.
amongst other events. And I don't want to take away from Harbortown, because I think Harbortown is a great event. It's the week after the Masters. I don't want to take away from Bay Hill. And I do think the invitationals like Bay Hill, Jack's tournament and Tiger's tournament, Genesis, I feel like those events you're going to have to keep signature events, but there are other events on that calendar like a Harbortown where if you rotate or even Hartford, for example, that if you rotated out of those and made all of the events and made it so that the Sony Open was a signature event, like at some point the Sony would be a signature event, or
you should have a rotating schedule, kind of like what they do for the Open.
3M.
Here's
like the 3M.
Here's the thing. At the end of the day, these guys they want to. To them, this is a job. It is to play golf, to play baseball, football, whatever. It's a job. Granted, football you're playing. It's a different concept. Here you're playing every single weekend for 4 days straight. It's a job. You show up, you get paid. Any of the three of us in a job not always, but
that's on Liv.
The three, the three, like, I think I'm just gonna take this week off. I don't feel like showing up for work. You get built-in vacation days, PTOs, this, that, or the other. Show up, do your job, play golf, enjoy the game you're getting paid to do, because all of us that are out there want to go out and do it anyway.
Well, that's why I think you should have a certain amount. Like, you shouldn't play 100% of the events.
No, you shouldn't play
every single week and stuff like that.
Yeah, you have to play 15 events on. You have to play 15 events on tour. Now, the majors count as 4 of them.
Yeah.
And when they did the World Golf Championship events, the World Golf Championship events counted as events too. So most of the players were showing up for those. So at the end of the day, you really had to play 7 events.
Yeah,
like, let's be real.
And I think that if you made it mandatory to like play certain events, and that's what I like about like the signature series. But I do agree with you, Steve. Rotate that series around, give them a little bit more, because Dave, that's like what you said, putting in those PTO days, putting in that extra time, because you want to spend time with your family. And if you were on the road touring every single day through the PGA Tour season, that's a lot.
And at the end of the day, like, I think the idea that the tour forcing players to play, again, there's the idea of taking care of your sponsors. So if you're giving your sponsors this, and let's call it what it is for a signature event, it's kind of like a bonus for your sponsor to get all these players to show up at these events. I'm still surprised Wells Fargo has bailed. And again, there's a question of, did the tour ask them for more money? And they were like, no, we ain't paying any more money because we're not getting our ROI where it is now. And now you want more money, so we'll never get an ROI as a business. Like, on one of the best tracks on the PGA Tour. I mean, let's be real.
Now,
Quail Hollow is amazing.
I think it's kind of an overreaction too, because to be honest, look at these events. These events, a lot of their sponsors change from year to year to year, but just because they're changing now, it's more of a hot topic. So I think it's something like that. You know what? Wells Fargo could have just been done. And if this happened 2 years from now, or 2 years earlier, we might not be talking about it, but
nobody
it's
would
because
have
of the
cared.
time we're in. Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that's where this is. If you start seeing a flood of sponsors leaving tour events all of a sudden, then I'm worried.
Yeah. We're not in the point where we were in the, the 70s, the 80s era where guys are showing up every week because it was a job and they needed to make the money and not go work at the grocery store at the end of the year. I still follow, I'm still a fan. I still follow a little bit of professional wrestling here and there, and what the biggest thing that I saw in speaking of giving people time off, wrestlers are on the road almost the entire year. WWE is finally great. Triple H has just said, look, you're taking the holidays off. Why not?
You know what?
Why,
just like wrestling, we're going to take the holidays off next week unless an agreement comes, by the way. So just in case anybody is watching this, we will not be on the air next Tuesday unless the PGA Tour and the Strategic Sports Group or the PGA Tour and the PIF come to an agreement. We may come on that night and do a show. Just that.
I was really wondering how Dave was going to tie wrestling back into all of this.
That's where I was going.
It's a good. You make a great point. I'm not that. I was just like,
we're in the time. We're in the time of, taking more time for the family, being home, being available. We're golfing dads. We're taking time away to do this, but we're home and we're available. And a lot of these guys, especially professional golfers that are on the road almost the entire year, especially the guys trying to scrap for the card, it's good to be able to take time off and be able to do that. Hence,
so I want to go down as we talk about management of this. Viktor last week was on the 4 podcast in Norway, and he said this about PGA Tour management. The management has not done a good job. They almost see the players as labor, and they almost see the players as labor and not part of the members. After all, we are the PGA Tour. Without the players, there is nothing. When you then get to see what happens behind closed doors, now the management actually makes decisions which are not in the players' best interest, but the best interest for themselves and what they think is best. They are not professional golfers at all. They are not businessmen who say, no, it shouldn't look like this and that. There's a great deal of arrogance behind it all.
So here's what's happening. Professional golf wants to turn into every other professional sport, and I feel it's going to be you're going to get a contract to play versus win and get paid.
Well,
that's
okay.
That's what this is turning into.
I need to find it. There was did you follow any of what happened at Q School this week, by the way?
I followed who was playing and people getting and trying to earn their way onto tour. And I feel bad for my boy Eric Barnes, who I've followed and had the pleasure of playing with before, that he didn't have a great week at Q School this week. So, but I feel that's where this is going. Is these players they want more stability behind what's going there, because that's what Liv is dangling out there, is a contract. You get paid when you win, but it's a contract that you have that guaranteed money that's there.
So okay, so I'm going to ask this question, and you can say that everyone talks about Liv did their qualifying tournament or whatever they called it. Mm-hmm. Did you see what happened to Hayden Springer at Q School?
I did not.
And do you know the story behind Hayden Springer?
No.
A month ago, his 3-year-old passed away.
Mm.
Okay, and as dads, I couldn't imagine it.
Yeah, no.
Your son just turned 3, right? Ollie turned 3 this week. His 3-year-old passed away. He was one of the 5 players that got their PGA Tour cards. You can't write that story on Liv.
No.
You can't. And you know what? If I'm a sponsor and I'm looking at players that I want in my field each and every week, Hayden Springer for me is one of those guys that you can't write this story. Like it's like the Olympic hockey team. It's like all of these stories of Tiger coming back and winning at Augusta like he did. Like you have like if Hayden Springer wins on tour this year, which I hope he does, and I'm going to say this, I'm going to pull for this dude because I want to see it.
Yeah.
And I would love to get him on the show to let him tell a story because 100%. Again, as dads, that's what we want. I think that Hayden Springer to me is one of those guys that I want to see each and every week on the PGA Tour, and I want to see him win. Like all of a sudden, you got to have a new favorite player, and to get a top 5 and get your card at Q School in Ponte Vedra,
that's awesome.
Good for you. Great for you. Not even good for you. Great for you.
And that's what I feel the tour needs to get back to what its core is. They need to know that these players that are out there, that are the top players in the world, like a Viktor Hovland, like a Scotty Scheffler, they need to say, here's the structure, here's what's behind this, here's what we're going to do going forward, here's how you get paid on the tour, here's how you get sponsorships. Like, that's what it's about. Like, you need to build a brand is what they need to do for the top players in the world. But the tour needs to have its structure fixed and needs to say, hey, here's what we're doing, here's where this funding is coming from. And then, you know what, you need to be like, if you want to go to live and just have your product, have the product the way it's always been.
Here's my dilemma. The tour needs live, because if they don't sign this deal with live is just going to pluck everybody they can, and Yasser is going to say to them, pay whatever you want, we'll give you whatever you want, we'll give you the millions, we don't care, because live doesn't care that there's an ROI. That's the annoying part about what live is. You have the strategic sports group that's putting in $3 million. They're going to want to see an ROI. These, John Henry, Tom Werner, Steve Cohen, Arthur Blank didn't get into business to not make money in America. That's what they do. Those guys make money. If they're going to invest in something, they want to see a return on that investment. The problem that I have with
that's going to have to be the change in the PGA Tour. Like, you're going to have to.
Well, they're going to that for-profit entity. They're going NewCo or whatever they're calling it. The problem that I have with what Viktor said, and I'm going to relate this to something that we are all familiar with. Viktor's comment was they almost see the players as labor and not part of the members. Well, Viktor, you're kind of like the guy pushing the green button at Space Mountain. Without the guy pushing the green button at Space Mountain.
That was me.
That was you. I got to drive the train, so pull the throttle, let's go. But without you, Viktor, the Magic Kingdom doesn't operate. It doesn't. Like,
it's true.
You can sit there and say what you want, but that's what you are to them. You are. Like, don't complain about it. You get paid really well. I think every one of us would trade spots with you to get the paycheck that you made last year in $34 million or whatever it was after your bonuses in your FedEx Cup championship. Like, I don't feel bad for you to say, oh, well, we're the labor, we're the hired help. Yeah, you are. But you know what? You get paid pretty. I mean, you made $1 million last year on the PGA Tour. You didn't keep your card.
Yeah.
Like,
I would trade with guy 125 in a heartbeat. I'd trade with guy 125.
Like, when you think about that and you say to yourself, Viktor, there are a lot of people that don't feel bad for you with the amount of money that you make and the lifestyle that you live, when you could sit there and you're complaining that you're the hired help. Like, yeah, you are. Because you know what? The person behind the scenes isn't. Like, the CEO and Jay Monahan gives his State of the Union address at the Players Championship every year, shows up at the FedEx Cup playoffs every year, and does what he does. But, like, he doesn't.
That's the problem.
He's not hitting golf shots and drawing people to watch this game. You are.
But that's the problem I was saying before, is we've become to this world where the sporting industry, like Shohei's contract, is bad for the sport. Getting paid that much money, like, because that's what people are seeing. They're like, I'm one of the top in my sport. I should be paid up to that amount, because that's what Liv is telling people. Let me get through this. That's what Liv is telling people, is that, hey, if you're the top in your sport, I'm going to pay you that. So why not go over there? That's what they're wanting, as the tops on the PGA Tour, is they want the money to be there. But like you said, this is a tournament. It's a pay. You are paid based on how you perform.
Correct.
Now, that's where I think you need a team and go out and make money. Like, Tiger made money on marketing. Tiger made more money on marketing. Jordan, even someone who was in a professional athlete that made money from the Chicago Bulls, he made more money off of Nike. He made more money off of his brands. He made more money off of that. So
Brad winning. Hashtag winning for Brad right there.
That's true. They're putting all of this pressure on the PGA Tour, and the PGA Tour is just, they're a nonprofit that puts together these tournaments, and you get paid a lot because of the sponsorship. You got paid more because people saw their return on investment. If I'm going to put a commercial on when Tiger was here, like, it's the product that's out there. But now there's too much pressure on Monahan to have this for profit, and I almost think it could ruin the sport.
Here's the question.
It's almost like watching a
Greg.
It's almost like watching a wide receiver and a defensive back. I got the biggest contract this year. Well, then you went out and shit the bed.
Yeah.
And the other wide receiver, well, I've outplayed my contract. It's a damn contract. People play through it. Just because you went out and
here's my problem. You have Jay Monahan, who made $18 million last year. It made him, by the way, of the five. If you put golf as the fifth major sport, he was the third highest paid commissioner.
Mm-hmm.
He was behind
football and baseball.
Roger gets $63 million a year, which is still the most overpaid BS I've ever seen. What's his name in baseball gets $25 million. And then David Stern and Gary Bettman get right around $10 million.
David Stern hasn't been the commissioner of the NBA for like 20 years.
Adam Silver. Yeah. Adam Silver and Gary Bettman get around $10 million.
I was like, way to get in the 80s and 90s, buddy.
Yeah. Adam Silver and Gary Bettman get around $10 million. So
and Adam Silver is one of the most sought after commissioners in all of sports.
Yeah. Right.
He really is.
And the dude gets $10 million. I don't see these commissioners calling Jay Monahan for any advice right now. I don't.
No.
And he made last year, if you look at what the PGA Tours players got paid last year, he was number 2 on the money list.
Yeah.
And they're complaining about the fact that the litigation took $20 million out of the PGA Tour coffers. Like, why did you pay Jay Monahan $18 million when you could have saved $10 million of that and put that towards legal fees? Because that's where it should have gone.
We can look at any giant corporation CEO and have the same exact argument, but we won't get into that.
No, but the thing is that it just
correct.
I think that's where the players are upset is they need a better structure behind that tour. And that's why I'm not blaming them if they're going to live to get that paycheck because they're not seeing that stability there. And
you know what I think needs to happen? You know what I think needs to happen? I'm just going to say this. I think that the PGA Tour should hire the Golfing Debts Tavern to run the tour.
They can't afford us.
Here, before you tee off your shotgun this beer.
Listen. I'm going to say they could because I guarantee between the three of us, we'd probably take about $3 million a year, and that we'd be good with that.
We'd probably take combined less than Monahan's taking right now, but
correct.
Yeah,
correct.
But it's about the sport, and that's what it needs to be about, and that's where this is not an entertainment. So, Dave, your comparison to the WWE is actually closer to the NFL and the NBA because they are entertainment industries. That's what they are registered as. The PGA Tour is not. The PGA Tour is a nonprofit entity that needs to better tell their players what's going on out there. And I think that's why the players are frustrated.
I'm concerned more about the nonprofit entity as we move forward for the PGA Tour in that will the nonprofit and the tour donates a ton of, like, you look at Orlando in a tournament we've all been to in Bay Hill, and a ton of money goes to something that my children were both born there, at the Winnie Palmer Hospital, and what Bay Hill does for the Arnold and Winnie Palmer Hospitals for Orlando Health. You look at what they do with St. Jude, you look at all of the donations and the things that get made for the charitable entities that happen on the PGA Tour. And my fear is that going forward, this for-profit entity is going to take away from the money that the tour is donating to all of these places that really need this money.
Well, and Steve, I think you hit the nail on the head before where you talked about like these heartwarming stories about people. To be honest, it's not going to happen for us, but people like us can earn our way onto the tour with these miraculous stories and things that happen. You don't hear about that in other professional sports because that doesn't happen. There's no
Michael Block in football.
No, but Joey DeVito. I'm gonna get you get those random ones.
True.
And, you get those.
As a Giants fan, thanks, Greg, for that.
You're welcome. You get those random stories that do happen once in a while, once every few years. Where on the PGA Tour, we had 5 or 6 or 7 just this season alone, and that's where I think you'd miss out on the stories, the passion behind it, because the nonprofit stuff happens in those professional sports and they do things, but the PGA does it every single week that they're at
they highlight it.
They
highlight it.
They
highlight it every single week. We get to see it, and we get to see where those money is, where that money is going. Like if you go to Bay Hill, you know that money is going back to Arnold's hospital, Arnold Winnie's hospital. Like it's such a, that is such a focus of that event, and such a cool thing of that event. I'm actually kind of disappointed that it's going to become that it's become this, elevated event, because it literally was one of the coolest invitationals, and I'm glad the invitationals are getting to keep their fields and still invite who they want to.
Yeah.
But that event, there was so much more behind that event, and you look at what goes into Bay Hill each and every year, and what goes into the Pro-Am, and what goes into all of these cool things that happen, and it's one of those things where it literally embraces, and what the tour does better than I think there are some professional sports teams that do this really well. I think the Red Sox, the Yankees do this well in their communities. Green Bay does this well.
Hold up. Did you just say the Yankees do something well?
I did.
There we go.
It's a Christmas miracle.
Get it on record, folks.
But they embrace their communities around them very well. They do.
But
when you look at what the PGA Tour does for the communities that they are in, and there are communities, and I'm going to say this, Monterey Peninsula doesn't need the PGA Tour's help, because if you can live in Monterey, you can, let's be real.
Let's be honest.
You don't need it. But like when you look at Orlando, and take a city like Orlando, in an event that we've all been to, you look at Hartford, you look at, and I'll even say, and don't get me wrong, Harbortown is a very wealthy area. Let's be real. It's a touristy area, but the people that live there, it's not like you can be broke and live in the Hilton Head in that area in Harbortown. But they do so much.
We were broke and lived there.
Dave and I did it.
You were college students though too. So, but like you have this, correct. The Shriners,
and Shriners are great organization.
Brad wants to know.
But that's the thing. That's the thing that most of these areas.
Hey, Greg, read the comment.
It's a once in a lifetime.
That's a lottery win, is what that is. But that's the thing that I feel we're going to lose, is we're going to lose that community thing, because a lot of professional teams do that for the community that they're in, so they have that community thing. Like here in Indiana, basketball is huge, and the Pacers do a lot. The Colts do a lot for the community here, and it's great to see that community initiative like that. I get to do a lot with my job, and that's great to see from that end. But with golf, it was traveling from area to area each week, and you get to see a different area for this, and I feel it's going to become more of a professional entity versus this any man can go play in the US Open. Any man, it's not going to become this heartwarming story. It's not going to become this
case in point.
Yeah, it's going to be this. It's going to be a corporation more than it's going to be.
Here's the thing:
a nonprofit event.
When people look at the PGA, they focus on that. Thursday to Sunday. They don't realize, the Pro-Am getting there, the things that happen on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday that week that the PGA is in town. There's a group that's finishing up Sunday at whatever tournament they're at. There's another entire PGA team showing up in the next city, getting things ready to go, doing all the legwork, the volunteer work, and everything else in those cities before they even get there. And
I've got a buddy of mine from college works for the PGA Tour in ShotLink, and travels with the tour each and every week with ShotLink.
Well, that's one thing. But to Dave's point, there's teams like Harbortown is run by Harbortown. Like there is a Harbortown Foundation that runs that event, and the
Thunderbirds run
months.
The Thunderbirds run Waste Management, which, by the way, we didn't talk about tonight. Can we just discuss really quickly Kevin Kisner as the color guy in the booth for the Tournament of Champions and for Waste Management because I'm excited.
Let's get him on.
But I think that's the biggest loss here is that I feel this is going to turn into. I feel this is the live impact. Like we had the Tiger impact, the live impact on golf is going to turn it into more of a professional. Like it's professional golf, but it was more of it's a tournament that. It's a tour that does different things that the community has a lot into. This is going to be.
It's in their name. They're a league. They're not a tournament. They're a league.
Yeah, that's what it's going to be. It's not going to be this. Like you're going to have to earn your way in, and people are going to be kicked off of the tour. Like it's going to be different than it was.
You said it last week, Greg, and I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say the quiet part out loud. We're still watching the PGA Tour.
Yeah.
We're still watching for the stories. We're still watching for that Monday qualifier that all of a sudden ends up on a leaderboard. We're still watching for the guy in Hayden Springer who goes through Q school with his daughter passing away a month ago and making it through and getting his card at Q school. And we can talk about stories of the year, and there were some great stories in golf, but that one's got to be up there as one of the top 5 stories in golf for the year is Hayden Springer getting his tour card for 2024.
Well, and that's what Arnold Palmer was trying to maintain after he stopped playing. That's what he tries to maintain with his tour. That's what the Palmer Foundation is about, and that's what Greg Norman disliked, and that's what he's trying to tear down. Is the history behind the tour, and that's what they need to go back to. They need to go back to their roots. They need to go back to the basics. They need to go back to what the tour was about, and that's I think what the players want too. But they want to know what's the future. And when they see like, oh, we're going to do this, and then all of a sudden you're talking like you said, we said we're not going to talk to the PIF. That was what it was, and then all of a sudden we're in bed with the PIF.
Yeah.
And you didn't include the players in this.
Yeah, it gets to a point. When is too much too much?
100%, Dave.
Well, and the problem that I have is let's be real. We talked about, Dave, you said it. Shohei's contract was bad for baseball, and at some point, are we going to joke about Shohei Ohtani Day like we do about Bobby Bonilla Day because of the way his contract was written?
But his contract was written in a way that is acceptable under the collective bargaining agreement.
Here's the thing.
But I'm waiting for the state of California to step in because they're going to lose so many tax dollars on this that they're going to be pissed.
The only reason we talk about Bobby Bonilla Day is because the reason that it happened with Bernie Madoff. Yeah. And it was a whole mismanagement and it never should have happened. But because of that, other players have done that. Like there are still players.
Ken Griffey Jr. gets paid every year in the same day too.
So it's out there, just the way Bobby Bonilla's happened that makes it so funny. But now it's almost become the norm.
Yeah. Right. But I think that when you talk about, I don't want. And this is the good thing about golf compared to baseball. You don't talk about contracts on the PGA Tour.
No, and that's what I'm saying. Like that's the thing I've loved about the tour is you get paid based on how well you perform.
You play.
Baseball, you get paid on past performance. Like if you were great, you got
there are teams. The Moneyball concept changed that a lot because the Moneyball concept said let's pay people on what they can do, and there was a threshold on. If you looked at the true Moneyball aspect of it, of what a player is doing, and if you watch the movie, they go into this in detail. What a player is doing right now, what have they done in the past, but what can they do in the future? And they did it all based on age. And the only one, and Greg, don't say it because I will come through the screen and choke you. The only one that, to me, has performed through their contract is David Ortiz. Don't say it. I will kill you, and you know it. Roger Clemens. I'm just going to go into that and just say Roger Clemens.
He was on both teams.
Harper.
Bryce. Well, there is Bryce Harper.
And
Ken Griffey didn't because his body broke down.
Yeah.
But that's
that's
where it's you pay so many people on that, but that's what the tour, I think that's what they want, and that's so. I almost think the right thing to do is you need 2 leagues. You need live, let it do its thing, and you need the PGA Tour. Let the two entities be there.
But then the question is, Greg, and I agree with that statement, but how do you let them, especially if the tour has to get into bed with the PIF because they can't fight them. They know that. Even with this
But
$3 billion that they're getting from the Strategic Sports Group, how do they, if you're the tour, you have to take PIF in because you can't sit there and fight them because $3 billion is not going to be enough to fight the PIF bank account. It's not. But
what's going to happen? Here's what's going to happen. The Live is either going to have to replace aging players at some point, so they're going to take the top from the PGA at some point. So you're almost going to be a feeder system.
When's Phil leaving?
Exactly. You're going to be a feeder system to that. There needs to be a structure behind it because I think you can have both entities and both can be successful, but Live is almost going to be that, like what we called it from the beginning, the pre-Champions Tour.
Right.
Like it's going to almost be that. Like you're going to have to prove yourself on the PGA
Tour
pay
people
for a while.
Performance. They're going to pay people on their past performance
again,
and then when
they're going to be the New York Yankees and Boston Red Sox of professional golf.
2023, yeah, like that was painful to watch.
Let's be honest.
I hear Darryl Strawberry is available.
They're just going to overpay people, and that's
again. Again, and it just goes back to when is too much too much? Why is do I need $60 million a year or can I live on 20?
Well, again. John Rahm took.
I would take $60 right now.
John Rahm took enough money that his great grandkids are taking care of. Like, let's be real. Like, John Rahm is taking care of. When you talk about generational wealth, he's got multi-generational wealth. And you know what? I'm not going to hold a grudge against him. I mean, Phil went because he had to pay off his gambling debts. But like. At the end of the day, if I'm Brooks Koepka and I got 125 million, which was what the number was said to go, and you have 3 more majors, including winning a major while at Live,
contract negotiations are going to get weird in a year or two.
Yeah, right. Like, and Brooks Koepka's team just got way better. Let's be real, because they got Taylor Gooch.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. Like they're gonna have their own troubles of like, hey, if you're not gonna pay me what you're paying this person, then I'm gonna try to go back to that.
Right.
Tour.
They're gonna get ugly when these contracts are up. Like you not think Brooks is not gonna want to back the Brinks truck up at Brooks's house and get more money?
That's where this is going to level out. That's where the PIF is gonna be like, yeah, we did this up front to get it started, but it's gonna have to plateau. It's gonna have to stay at a point some point.
Yeah.
And
sorry, Brooks, you're now only worth 50.
Yeah. But that's what the PGA needs to kind of ride out is that, hey, can we get new and upcomers? And then are we going to kick these people out and say, you got a 3-year contract? So
at the end of the day, though, Greg, you said it. I mean, we talked about it last week. Like the tour has done a great job with Next Guy Up. Like, I hate to say this, but like they've done a great job Next Guy Up. Like,
keep doing that.
Okay, we lost these guys. There was a lot of talk about Keegan Bradley going to Live. I don't see Keegan going to Live. I think between his aunt and Pat Bradley and the things that he has been loyal to, I don't see Keegan leaving the PGA Tour ever. And I think Keegan is one of those guys that you can offer him whatever you want. You're not going to get him. Tiger, obviously, I mean, everybody wants Tiger. We all know that. Tiger's not going to leave because of Tiger's legacy and his seat on the board and the tour policy board.
And Tiger,
they knew they no, he doesn't. And let's be real, there's a clothing manufacturer that's about to load a Brinks truck up and hand it to Tiger too. Do I think that there's an interesting dilemma that the tour is going to come into of, I like the Signature Series, but if you get into bed with PIF, what do you do with the Signature Series? What do you do with Live? What do you like? The tour really has 14 weeks off of non-events. Like when you think about it, like they have a 14-week window of events that don't make a lot of sense. And it's that 14 weeks that we haven't done odds with Dave. Right? Like we haven't. Like when you think about these, right? We haven't done picks. We haven't done that. And that comes back week 1 in January. When we come back, we'll be back to doing that. But when you look at what the tour is doing, they need to figure out a lot of things because you've lost 2 major sponsors. You've lost Honda, who has been around for 40-something years. You lost Wells Fargo now, and this is last year for Wells Fargo. I think the tour needs to really take a long, hard look and say, we need to figure this out. and I don't know, and here's where I'm in a position where I don't trust the tour. I don't know that they have the right people in place to figure this out.
Well, that's I think their first thing. They have to take care of in-house first.
Yeah.
And then they have to realize, like, hey, maybe this is running score, and now we need to go with what we know. And I think you need to have someone who has the legacy and
Tiger. Is Tiger really running the tour right now?
Tiger's not running the tour. I feel Tiger's running the Players Association. I feel Tiger is running that, and he's trying to.
Fair.
He's the voice between both. He's that negotiator that's trying to say, "Hey, the tour, like we need to keep this. We need to do this thing's going to keep the." I think Tiger is one that can bridge that gap, but I do think you need someone in there that wants to run the organization and run it as what it is.
Here's the thing: I don't think, and I'm going to say this out loud, and I've said this before. I don't think Jay
It's
did
good. We're on a
bad
podcast. You should say most things out loud.
Yeah,
right. I don't think in the beginning Jay did a bad job. He followed the tour rules, and I stuck up for Jay in the beginning. I think where Jay made the mistake was hiding behind closed doors. And
here's the thing: we're all three. We all three work for Disney. Eisner did a great job in the beginning too.
Well, correct, and Iger did a great job round one. He was also dealt a bad deck of cards round two. But when I look at
he left himself that deck of cards.
I was about to say
he left himself that deck.
Started that deck.
Right, yeah.
He's trying to fix the deck he thought he had in order.
But anyway, as we're approaching an hour 40 here.
But I also feel like Jay really screwed up. And I think Jay had the players' back. The players had Jay's back up until June 6th.
I think Jay is just in a hard place right now, and I think it's time to say, hey, I think Jay can do great things. I think Jay can do great things with something else, but I think it's time to like, hey, we need a fresh set of eyes on this because you're in that same thing that Eisner was in at Disney. I said, like you said, Eisner did a lot of great things, but he got in this like track that was like this one set of like, I'm only going this direction. And it's like, we need to take it a different direction to move forward. This is just not moving us forward. And that's what they need.
His ego and other egos that were involved got in the way.
Well, but that's why you get into this place where you think you have this. So I think with that, it's been a good show.
Yeah.
It's a holiday show.
Hey, everybody, Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.
Merry Christmas.
Unless the tour comes in agreement with PIF or the Strategic Sports Group, we will not see you next week. If they do, we will come on and do our best to come on that night and have some conversation and dialogue about it.
We'll be merry.
We'll be merry, yes. It'll be merry and bright. But no, I think that I hope everybody has a great Christmas, a great New Year's. I hope Santa's good to everybody. Ho, 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 and a bottle of rum. But no, I think that it's going to be a fun one. I'm looking forward to the things that we have talked about. There's going to be some changes coming to the Golfing Dads Tavern in the new year. So I hope everybody's paying attention to that. And we're excited for that. So
there was much rejoicing.
And we are thankful for the fans. We are thankful for everyone who's come on to the show and supported us through this. This has been a fun adventure in year one. I hope you all enjoyed year one. So this is officially the end of season one. This is our season one sign off.
Yeah.
February 6th. We are, just to let everybody know, as the NFL season is winding down, we are going to stay on Tuesdays. Also, we've had this conversation. We don't want to bounce back and forth between Mondays and Tuesdays. We are going to stay on Tuesdays going forward. So excited about that. And we look forward to some big announcements coming in the first couple months of the year too.
See us at the PGA show where there's going to be a lot of fun stuff.
And I can't wait to recap. You know what I'm really looking forward to in the new year is recapping Dave's golf trip scores.
That is true.
So Dave, we're going to need scorecard proof, just FYI. And if I need to call your father-in-law, your brother-in-law, I will do that.
They won't take your call.
I wish we could. I wish you and I could go on this that outing and kind of be on the course commentators behind just Dave. Greg,
that's going to happen for me on the day that Steve is caddying. That I am just going to on-course commentate.
I know
we need to. We'll need to off table this after about the caddying whole thing. There's some news on that, but I don't want to talk about that just yet. So,
all right, guys.
All right.
Happy New Year. Merry Christmas. Thank you to 2023
Cheers,
and the first season of the Golfing Dads Tavern. Don't forget to tip your bartender.
Y'all talk about growing the game and doing some different things.
Oh, nice.
And I want to bring Craig and Taltech. You guys to talk about growing the game.